What if Naruto became the shinobi of the 600th world with a legendary harem? I am back with a part 6 of What If Naruto Got a Harem in the DC universe. Now before we start, let's do a summary first. Transported to a world full of heroes, Naruto teams up with the greatest to stop an invasion based on the 200. 1–2004 and 2004–2006 shows Justice League. In Justice League Unlimited, Naruto X Haram story name is Ninja on the League. Disclaimer: Lone Wolf 1 is the author of this series. 1 just made the audio adaptation of it, and yeah, I have the permission of the author. Remember to like, subscribe after this video and make sure to share it with your friends. Now let's music begin. Chapter 29 Wild Cards. Last time present the cyborg Superman stood over an unconscious Supergirl and his eyes glowed before being punched. Naruto groaned as he got up to see Superman floating in front of the imposter. He waked a Supergirl just as Superman flew to the cyborg and flew away with him as a shock wave came off and broke the windows on the buildings surrounding them. Up with Superman, they traded punches as they flew high above the city. The cyborg shot lasers at Superman and hits him in his chest. Why are you doing Superman asked as his imposter glared. Because you ruined my life, he yelled before flying to Superman. Superman punched him, tearing off his skin, revealing his metal exoskeleton. The cyborg flew at Superman and punched him down and flew at him. Superman topped before flying up and punched the cyborg in the face before using his freeze breath on him. The cyborg broke free before shooting lasers at Superman, who did the same. Naruto looked up to see Superman and the cyborg fight up in the sky. He picked Supergirl up and walked to the others before seeing an explosion, and a moment later Superman flew down. No time to explain. Cage, get Supergirl to the med ba. We have to stop Vandal Savage, Superman said as Naruto disappeared and the others flew off with Green Lantern bringing Flash and Batman in a ball. 30,000 years later, Vandal Candy Ari holding Kamar Flower and Spirit sat at Superman's destroyed gravestone before hearing something. Looking up, they saw a procession of people in white clothing walking around his buildings and flying cars came into view. Thank you, friend, Vandal said as he and the others faded away. Now Watchtower, Hawk Girl and Naruto. Him, that's it right there. No, it's not. I think IW. Old. No, really. When did you ever tap into bank records? Naruto asked as he and Hawk Girl looked at the monitor showing multiple bank records flashing up on the screen. Did they have banks on Thanagar? He asked from his seat as Hawk Girl stood behind him. Back off, I know what I'm doing, she replied, swatting his hands away from the keyboard. Hey, Naruto yelled as she typed something before sighing. How come you act like this when we're alone? She looked down to him and raised an eyebrow under her helmet. I have no idea what you're talking about. Naruto stood up and looked into her eyes suddenly, and Allah went off before Hawk Girl puts a hand to her ear. Batman, we have the address. TV station Las Vegas night. A brown-haired man in a suit sat at a desk as he talked on the phone, only for a black-gloved hand to grab the phone and hung it up. Hey, what the hell are you? The man stopped, seeing Batman and one of Naruto's clones standing beside him. You sold airtime to something called Quinn Play Entertainment. Look, you can't just come in here. Naruto, who stepped forward, soon interrupted the man. Quinn Play Entertainment is owned by the Joker. The man looked to see several clocks on the wall above several TVs showing different programs he's on. In 15 seconds, the man replied, seeing the clocks show 6 hours 59 minutes and 15 seconds. He picked up the phone and dialed a number on it. Hello, cut the feed. I don't care, just do it now, I'll explain later. The TV in the middle went off, only for the surrounding TVs to how a Joker playing card. He must have bought more airtime from other stations. Suddenly the Joker popped up and wagged his finger at the audience. Don't touch that remote. I know it's heartbreaking to have your favorite show pulled off so soon or get cancelled all of a sudden, but look at what you getting instead, me and a whole truckload of mindless violence and property damage. Everything that makes TV great, Joker said before smiling as the camera zoomed in. So stay tuned, you won't believe your eyes. He sat down on a throne before continuing. So here's how we do this little tango. I've tucked away a great big time bomb somewhere on the Vegas Strip, and only the Justice League can stop it. Anyone else tries and I press this. He pointed to a remote in his hand and cable. We know. Waiting. Naruto pressed a button on his glasses and hacked the station's audio as he and Batman left a video of the Graham came up on the left lens as they waited for the others. Now I know you want to see the great big bomb hunt from the best possible angle. Naruto watched as the Joker walked to show several people at multiple monitors, so I set up hundreds of cameras all around town. Naruto saw the javelin land with Flash and Superman coming out. Naruto looked back at the video before sighing. Guys, we have 22 minutes and 51 seconds to find the bomb. I got it, Superman said, flying up near a helicopter with Harley in it, obviously giving commentary to the Joker, and she is, Naruto said as the screen panned to show Harley talking to the Joker as they flew behind Superman. I found it, Superman yelled before flying down. Oh, that's right, he has X-ray vision. Naruto looked to see Joker slap his forehead. Well, that motion seems familiar, Naruto commented, shaking his head. Naruto jumped after Superman as he flew to a casino. Superman went to a roulette table and threw it away to reveal a cylinder bomb. For a picture look at the Wild Cards episode. Well, that's a doozy, Flash commented as he looked at the wires on the bomb. Expect anything less from the Joker, Superman asked, grabbing the bomb only to be blasted by a stream of fur. Naruto pulling out his bow and arrow, and Flash turned to see four people, 3 men and a woman, all having pure white eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the Royal Flush Gang. Naruto heard Joker explain over his glasses as looked at each person. Jack is a Caucasian man with a blonde goatee wearing a white full bodysuit that's black on the head down to the shoulders and came to a point down to his stomach, black boots and gloves. He also has the playing card club symbol over his right eye. 1010 is an African American bald male wearing a black sleeveless bodysuit that's red around the shoulders with a 10 over the left chest area. He also has a club over his right eye. King is a Caucasian male dressed in a black full bodysuit with a silver helmet and a red king's robe. He has a black mustache goatee combo with the club on the helmet over his forehead. He's also holding a cane and Queen Naruto sighed as he saw the reason for Joker's paw, that being how she's dressed. Queen is a Caucasian woman with short white hair and black choker on her neck. She's wearing a red one-piece that's cut from the shoulder down her stomach and revealed her navel. She also has black fingerless gloves and white high boots. She has 2 clubs on her, one on the crotch area of her costume and on her forehead. Naruto shot an arrow only for it to stop in mid-flight and fly back at him. Jack stretched over to Superman. His queen lifted up chairs and threw them at Naruto and Flash. Naruto was hit and poofed away as the gang focused on the others outside. The Naruto and Hawk Girl dropped down in front of the casino just as the Joker was explaining more about the Royal Flush Gang. They were taken by the government to teach them, but in reality were training them in their powers. Jack can stretch, 10 has super stray NGTH and is invulnerable to pain. Queen can control metal and King can control fire and Ace. Naruto saw a little girl with a blank expression on her face. She has short black hair and wearing a black one-piece that's black on the right side and black ankle-high boots. Her club in on the left side of her suit and is a gray hair clip on the right side of her hair. More on you later, my dear. Joker finished as he patted her head. Naruto and Hawk Girl drove the 4 members outside as Batman disarmed the bomb. Rasen Rengen spiraling serial spheres. Naruto formed 2 Renin spiraling spheres in each hand. Hits both Jack and 10 away, forcing the gang to retreat on card-shaped hoverboards with the club symbol on them. This bomb's a fake, they heard Batman over their communicators. I'll find the real one, Superman said before flying up. Found it, wait, there's another 1 2 3 2 5. There are 25 bombs, he finished. As everyone looked up with wide eyes. Some have to be duds. I don't think the Joker could put 25 actual bombs in this city without being caught, Naruto said before creating a bunch of clones there. If my clones help out they can find duds so we can get them faster. They split up with each member taking a couple of clones to help them out. Oh, and let the clones do the fighting if that gang comes back, Naruto yelled out before jumping away. I found a dud, Naruto heard a clone say with several more confirming they found duds. He dropped in a casino. He turned on his glasses and found a bomb under a Prospecto R statue. He ran over and pulled the door open. He heard something before turning around and got hit with a wrench. Getting up, he saw Queen standing behind him. She picked up change from the slot machines and created knives before having them fly at him. Naruto went through hand signs before slamming his Hands down and brought up a wall. Queen growled before bringing the knives back, melt them and form armor around her with her club on her forehead showing up on the helmet. She created a sword before dashing at Naruto as he destroyed the wall. Naruto jumped back to avoid the swipe before hearing Hawk Gi. RL Hey Joan of Arc. They looked to see Hawk Girl fly at her with two Naruto clones following behind her. Queen smirked before changing the sword into a mace and charged at Hawk Girl. I wouldn't do that, Naruto said. His Hawk Girl swung her mace and had Queen fly through several rows of slot machines and at the wall. Naruto looked back to the bomb as one of his clones ran over and puts a knockout seal on Queen before using wired ties to tie her up. Naruto started defusing the bomb as Hawk Girl stood behind him. He removed two magnets before she spoke up. Why don't you put it in one of your seal scroll thingies, she asked as he pulled out wire cutters. I don't have any on me at the moment. She reached down for the cutters. Maybe you should let me defuse it. Naruto, who had the cutters inside the bomb, swatted her hand away. Maybe you should be quiet, he replied before seeing a light blink. Time slowed down for Hawk Girl as Naruto got up, turned around and pulled his bow out with a hairy flying thunder god arrow she saw armed on the small screen as the timer went out. Just as Naruto shot the arrow past her head, her vision blurred as she felt a hand on her shoulder. Boom! The casino exploded just as Hawk Girl and Queen was transported outside near the street. One Naruto. Hey, Hawk Girl screamed as she saw the flames come out of the building cage. Are you okay over there? Hawk Girl heard Batman through her communicator as she pushed debris away. Cage. Hawk Girl stopped to put a hand up to her ear. One of the bombs we NT off cage was inside. I'm looking for him now, she replied before looking around more. Naruto. She moved a wood beam away to find Naruto unconscious. No, she rolled him over and felt his pulse. She started pushing his chest. After several moments she pulled her mace and shocked him in the attempt to start back up his heart. Naruto groaned as she let out a relieved sigh. I can't believe I almost lost you without telling you. Naruto groaned again before speaking up. Tell me what. She shook her head before picking him up and flying off as she told the others where she was going later. Watchtower and the rest of the second episode would be canon, so it would be skipped. Hawk Girl stood outside the door to the Med B as she talked to Batman about what happened after they left. It was the shock of the detonation that stopped his heart. No, he's going to be fine. I'll stay with him until the others get here. B. Admin about before. I'm sorry, she was interrupted as Batman spoke up. No, we never leave a man behind, right? She smiled before replying, right. She walked in the dark room as lights from the monitor blinked. She picked up a tablet and typed on it before she heard groaning. Hey, she smiled down at Naruto before speaking up. Hey, go back to sleep. Nar rubbed his eyes before sitting up. Not sleepy. Besides, we need to talk. She looked at him for a moment before sighing. That can wait. She stopped as Naruto shook his head. No, not anymore. I'm tired of waiting. You know how I feel, and after Christmas with the kiss you've been ignoring the situation. She sighed again before looking down. Naruto, and I know you feel the same way. Can't blame you really. Her eyebrow ticked before sitting down on the bed. It's not that simple, Naruto. This can't go any further. He raised an eyebrow before speaking. Why not? She brought her hands together in her lap before continuing. This is crazy. We work together, so everyone in my world works together and they hook up. She looked out the window for a moment. We can't be worrying about each other on the battlefield. Naruto crossed his arms and snorted. I worry about all of you. It's where I get my strength to beat the bad guys from. She looked back at him and spoke again, but we're too different. She stopped as Naruto moved to lift her chin. I see two people who have feelings for each other and one's afraid to move forward. He reached up to remove her helmet, but she stopped him by putting a hand on his arm. After a moment she relented and he pulled her helmet off. He smiled as he saw her hair fall down with a few strands falling in front of her face. He moved forward and kissed her before laying back down, pulling her with him. Morning Batcave. Naruto took off his coat as he walked to the now finished transporter. Picture the one in a better world. He looked to the side as Batman is typing on his computer. Naruto saw a platform just in front of it and looked at Batman before opening his mouth. Just add your energy to the handles that are on the platform and I can use that to find your univers. Batman spoke up before Naruto could speak. Naruto walked over and grabbed the black handle. His hands glowed blue as a picture came up on the computer. Is this your world? Batman asked as Naruto looked up. No, that's a different one. My parents are still alive in that one, Naruto replied, looking at a red-haired woman and blonde-haired man watching him walk off with several of his friends. Not a bad place if you get used to the different versions of everyone. Naruto finished as they continued searching there. Naruto said, stopping on an image of a huge gate with a leaf design above it. You're sure? Batman asked as Naruto nodded. Yeah, my father is on the monument. The previous one had a different face in its place, Naruto replied as the others including Barbara and Cheetah walked down. Hunter wearing green harness following after them. You guys should bring a change of clothes. No one knows of your hero Iden. Tidies there, Naruto said, throwing bags to them. But get changed there. They won't be startled because I never gave them what you look like outside of your costumes. One by one they walked through the portal. Konoha morning. Two men sat at a stand inside the gates. One has long spiky black hair and dark EY. He has a strip of bandage running across the bridge of his nose and a light-colored marking on his chin. He's wearing a simple chest plate over a long-sleeved shirt and pants. He's also wearing high-top sandals and the Uzumaki clan logo emblem on his armband. On his left arm a swirl. The other has Br. own hair and dark eyes. His hair is combed down and covers his right eye. He's wearing his forehead protector like a bandana along with a standard Konoha shinobi outfit which goes all the way up to his chin. He also has the Uzumaki clan logo armband on his left arm. Suddenly they heard a noise and saw one people, 6 men and 5 women along with a black wolf walk out of what looked like a portal. Hold it, the one with a bandage said as the group walked up to the gate. Hey Kitu, Amo still guarding the gates. I see the armband is new. They blinked as the one in front with his hood up spoke. He removed his hood and their eyes widened. Naruto nodded before he and the others walked inside. See y'all later, Naruto said over his shoulder as they walked down the street. Kara, who was walking beside Naruto, noticed all the stares and whisperings as the crowd looked at them. They just wondering if I'm real. It'd save the world after all, Naruto said, walking to a large tower under a mountain with 5 men and 1 woman's carved into the stone. And Naruto stopped and looked to his right and saw a girl. She has bright pink hair with her bangs parted to the left, keeping it out of her eyes, and a red cloth or head protector worn as a hairband. Large green eyes and fair skin. She has a rather large forehead with a purple rhombus on it. She's wearing a small bottom-up sweater under a larger cream sweater with a pale yellow neckline and white capri pants as well as pink strappy high-heeled sandals. Hey soccer. A long time no. He stopped as she ran to him and hugged him. I missed you. He smiled as he hugged her back. She, the teammate you told us about. Naruto. Sakura let him go and saw the others. Yes, Sakura said slowly as Naruto smiled. Sakura, this is the team I'm with in the other world. Superman, Supergirl, Hot G.I. RL, Wonder Woman, Batgirl, Batman, Cheetah, Green Lantern, Flash and John. The first was just giving them a tour before we go see Kakashi. Naruto finished as they walked. Oh yeah Naruto, why don't you go to Ichiraku? Ross. Sakura stopped as Naruto suddenly vanished. Whoa, and I thought we could only go that fast. Flash sigh. Before speeding down, followed by Kara. As they caught up with Naruto they saw him staring at a ramen shack. Carol walked to him and saw anime tears on his face causing her to sweat drop. Really? She asked as Naruto walked over and saw 2 people inside. He went through the curtain and smiled. Hey Ino, see. Ino is a fair-skinned girl of average height with blue eyes. Her most noticeable trait in her appearance is her long pale blonde hair which reached her calves, is in a high ponytail with bangs covering the right side of her face. She still wears her short purple sleeveless blouse and elbows fishnets. Her skirt likewise lengthens to reach her ankles underneath mesh leggings along with high-heeled sandals. Kai has short brown hair and goatee with swirl marks on his cheeks. He's wearing a red suit with plated armor on his torso, arms and upper legs. On the front of his chest armor is the obligatory kanji for food. Naruto. Ino yelled, getting up and started hugging him. Naruto chuckled as he hugged her back before hearing a throat being cleared. Naruto looked back to see his girlfriend staring at him. Who are these? Naruto. You girlfriends? Ino teased, hoping to fluster her fellow blonde. Yeah, they are. Ino. Blin Ket as she saw the girls with Cheetah in her human form she noticed Wonder Woman before leaning his ear the black-haired woman looks a little like Kurai-sensei Naruto looked over before whispering back really I don't see it before anything else could be said a voice spoke up from the back of the stand. As a woman walked out your orders are ready she is a slender woman with long brown hair and eyes plus fair skin she's wearing a white robe with the sleeves folded a sort of dark blue apron with ribbon ties at the top and a bright white bondan hey why maid chan I'll take the usual Naruto said making me stop what she was doing and looked at him and Naruto he smiled before being tackled from over the counter later only Naruto and his girls walked to the hospital as the others went to look at the sides gaki brat Naruto heard a woman's voice as they walked through the door inside looking at the front desk he saw two women the first is a light-skinned woman of average height with brown eyes and straight blonde hair her hair is waist-length with shoulder-length bangs framing both sides of her face and pulled into two loose ponytails she also has a violet rhombus mark on her forehead she has a slender frame and a rather large bust she's wearing a grass green howie with the kanji for gamble written in black on the back inside a red circle underneath she has a gray kono style blouse with no sleeves held closed by a broad dark bluish gray obi that matches as her pants her blouse is closed quite revealing her sizable cleavage she's wearing open-toed strappy black sandals with high heels and red polish on both her fingernails and toenails she's also wearing a soft pink lipstick the other is a fair-skinned woman of average height and slender build with black eyes and hair her hair is straight and shoulder length with bangs that cover her ears and frame her face she's wearing an all-black kimono with a strap around her the right side of her kimono is long sleeve and the other is sleeveless showing the left sleeve of mesh armor she is wearing under her kimono to hey boss see Naruto W. As hit in the head with a paperweight forcing him on his back damn it gaki brat I told you not to call me that Barb walked to the downed Naruto who's groaning as he held his head popular with the ladies here too Naruto looked up to her before kipping up for your information yes I am why were you calling her grandma Badir asked as Tsunade glared at him don't you dar Naruto who raised his hand soon interrupted her because she's 57 he ducked under a stapler before running off as Tsunade gave chase get back here so I can wring your neck the girls flinched each time they heard a crash from the other rooms you'll never take me alive so you're Shizune Barb asked as Shisen nodded yes she replied before hearing Naruto scream not there a later a slightly bruised Naruto and Tsunade walked back and she looked at the women before turning her attention to Naruto I see you like older women n. It may be the JN and Kunoichi and I should watch out maybe you should Dian as your age 3 Naruto shrugged as he spoke up having Tsunade and Shisen blink at that what Naruto nodded as he wrapped his arm around Wonder Woman she ages slowly she's considered in her 20s on her home island he explained. Before turning to the girls could you wait outside for me a moment I want to talk to B-chan grandma alone as they reluctantly walked out the door Naruto turned to Tsunade and Shisen before picking a file out of his coat here I wanted you to take a look at this Tsunade picked up the file and saw Joe. Nathan Kenton the name tag isn't he Karis and Clark's adoptive father why did you have her leave the room because I can't heal him with my sage power so I don't want to get their hopes up if you can't find anything out I'll keep in touch and so we Barb she's been helping him out and was the first on to notice it as she has some medical background Naruto replied before turning to the door and leaving as he got outside he saw the girls waiting for him before leaving and walked down the street with Hunter Naruto were those real Kara asked as Naruto looked to her don't know I've been too afraid to ask I do know she was flat at your age soon they came to a weapon shop where they heard a man yell out that's keeping your flames of youth burningly they walked in where they saw a young woman shaking her head at the two men with her she has dark brown hair and eyes she has her hair in a Chinese tile braided buns on either side of her head both braided together on the back of her head and ending in a short plait that reaches just below her shoulders she also has fringe bangs parted to the right keeping them out of her eyes she is wearing a white sleeveless and high-collared kiao dress w. ith red trimmings that reaches her mid-thighs and a side slit on the right and held in place with yellow fastenings. It is decorated with a pale red flame pattern running along the left side and is tied with a dark red obi. She has fishnet stockings on her legs and a pair of black open-toed boots. She is wearing a pair of black scrolls around both of her wrists like bangles and has two large summoning scrolls in the color of green and light gray strapped on her lower back as well. The young man has very thick eyebrows and large rounded black eyes with prominent lower eyelashes. He's wearing a green jumpsuit, orange leg warmers, bandages around his hands and wrists, and a simple chest guard which is a darker green and has clipped-on shoulder pads with high collars colored a light gray and light gray strap across his waist. The adult male is in a red wheelchair, a tall and well-built man with high cheekbones, thick eyebrows and black hair cut in a BLL style. He's wearing a green jumpsuit, a simple chest guard which is a darker green and has clipped-on shoulder pads with high collars colored light gray, and his forehead protector is across his waist and an orange striped leg warmer around his left leg and a cast on his right leg. Hey 101 Lee Guy Sensei, Naruto greeted. Walking in. How are yo? He stopped as both Lee and Ten appeared in front of him. Greeting means Naruto __. I see your flames of youth brought you back. Naruto blinked before Ten spoke up. Is that a quiver? Where's your bow? Naruto pulled his bow handle from the side and showed it to her. What the hell, how can you shoot? She stopped as his bow unfolded. Want to see something cool? Naruto asked, pulling out an arrow with a regular tip. He turned around and puts the arrow back but kept his hand on it. Ten suddenly saw the quiver bottom rotate before Naruto picked the arrow out, showing another head on it. I've got sleeping and smoke arrows, the Haitian flying thunder god rope arrows, and explosive arrow, although the Harian flying thunder god arrows are separate and I can't change the head on them. He turned around and sweat dropped as he saw 101 wasn't paying attention to him but to his weapon. What's that red light for? She asked, pointing to the laser sight. It makes it easier to aim, Naruto explained, moving the bow up and showed a red dot on the wall following the bow's movement. Could I try it? The girls watched in amazement as Ten eyes seemed to grow larger and water a little. Did she just use the puppy dog pout? B girl asked, seeing Naruto Ken and followed them out the B and saw a shooting range and practice area. Naruto handed her the bow along with a few regular arrows. Picking one up, she puts it in the bow and IED to pull it back. Add a little chakra to your arms. I made the draw high to shoot the arrows far distances, Naruto said as Ten's arms glowed blue a little. She pulled back and shot the arrow, hitting the bull's eye. So how good are you? She asked as Naruto smirked. He picked up another arrow and LLED back. Looking at her, he pulled the bow and shot the arrow. Tenant smirked before hearing a noise. Looking to the target, she saw an arc arrow went through hers. What the hell, how did you do that? Without looking, Naruto grinned before speaking. Cuz I'm awesome. They walked back inside and saw B-Girl, Hawk, GI.RL and Wonder Woman looking around. Oh, I'm sorry, these are my girls, Kara, Barbara, Barb, Shira and Diana. Naruto greeted as they talked for a while. Later, Naruto and the girls were walking down the street. I got to say, Naruto looked to Karara, who spoke up, this place isn't at all like I thought it would be. Before Naruto could reply, he heard a bark of laughter. He looked to his left and saw a group, 2 women, 2 men and a young girl sitting in a booth of a restaurant. The first male has a wild appearance. He has messy brown hair, goatee and sharp black eyes with vertical slit-like pupils, pronounced canine teeth. Nails. He also has red fang markings on his cheeks. He's wearing the standard flag jacket underneath the open fur coat and black fingerless gloves. He's also wearing gray ANS reaching his calves and sandals. Beside him is a male wearing a Florida jacket under another light gray jacket that's hanging down to his knees, and the addition of a hood that's pulled up obstructs his face even more. In a satchel on his back and a pair of sunglasses. His outfit consists of a gray shirt with matching pants. On the other side is a girl with straight Haim-style waist-length blue hair with shoulder-length bangs framing her face. She's wearing a gray long-sleeved shirt underneath a pink shirt, black pant underneath a long cream-colored skirt with pink horizontal stripes and a pair of brown sandals. Beside her is a fair-skinned woman of slender build. She has long black shoulder-length untamed hair and red eyes. With a ring in them. She's wearing a black-colored long-sleeved shirt under a burgundy sleeveless shirt with 3 red-orange stripes on it. She wears a light shade of gray pants with tan-brown sandals. With her is a little girl with black hair pulled in a short ponytail tied above her head, and she has the same red eyes. She's wearing a tan one-body outfit with lighter tan color striped trimmings wrapped around her outfit. He smiled as he walked and followed by the others. Long time no see. Kurai-sensei, Hinata-chan kba Shino, and who's this? Naruto asked, picking up the little girl. I'm Mariah. Introduced herself as Naruto smiled. And how old are you? She smiled before holding up 2 fingers. Too well, you're a big girl, aren't you? Hold on, I think I have something for you. Naruto finished putting Mare down and reached into his coat. He pulled out a candy bar and gave it to her before sitting at a table by the booth. As they talked, Kara, Barbara and Barb took notice of Hinata's assets before glancing at theirs. Those can't be real. She doesn't look that much older than we are, Barbara said quietly before looking to Naruto, she whispered as Naruto leaned over. Those can't be real, right? She can't be that old. Naruto glanced at Hinata before whispering, unless her dad allowed it when she was 13-14. She was developed at 15 when I got back from training. She's 18 now. Night-chan. Before anything else could be said, a purple blur stepped in front of Naruto, revealing a woman. She has light brown pupil-less eyes and violet hair that is styled in a short spiky fan ponytail. She is wearing a tan overcoat with a purple inseam which has a pocket on both sides and complete with a fitted mesh bodysuit that stretches from her neck down to her thighs. She is wearing a dark orange mini skirt as well as a EAD protector, a small pendant that looks like a snake fang on a thick cord, and pale gray shin guards. She's also wearing a dark blue belt around her waist that connects to her skirt that has an appendage-like sash. Well, hey Anko. The now identified Anko blinked before looking over her shoulder. Oh. Hey Gagi, Brad finally came back to us, did y'all? She asked, turning around, making all but Diana and Naruto gah at the way she dresses. Kara leaned over to Barbara and whispered, she's not even wearing a bra. Oh, I see you've got a little harem. Naruto, Anko asked, walking up to him. Well, I don't really aim him. You really grew up into a fine young man, Anko said, making Naruto grin. Coming from one of Kona, his most beautiful kunoichi, that's saying something. Flirting with older women now. Naruto looked to Kurondai, who was smiling. If they're beautiful, then yes, Naruto replied, making her raise an eyebrow. Should I be offended? You haven't flirted with me, Naruto chucked before speaking. Oh come now, you are beautiful. You're also something else, but I don't want to say it in front of your daughter. She blushed as Anko sat down beside Naruto and talked. Later, Naruto, the girls and Anko, who decided to join walked to the academy where Naruto trained. They walked in and passed several classrooms before stopping at one where a man and 3 teens are standing in front of students sitting on bleacher-style desks in the back part of the room. The man is average height in build. He has brown that he keeps in a ponytail, dark eyes, and a scar that runs across the bridge of his nose. He's wearing the Konoha shinobi outfit along with the Uzumaki clan armband. The first teen is a boy with short spiky brown hair and black eyes. His outfit consisted of a gray-black zip-up jacket, dark gray pants. New Kona has shinobi sandals, and he also wears bandages around both his arms. The next boy has short brown hair and dark eyes. He's wearing a black top and blue pants with regular shinobi sandals. 5. The next teen is a girl with orange hair tied up with red elastics into 2 very large pigtails. She also has a perpetual blush on her face. 6. I see her teaching is as boring as always, Ruka-sensei, Naruto said, walking in as the girls waited out in the hall. Oab Boon boss, the teens yelled, running over to him. Hey Konohamaru wa udon, Naruto said before addressing the class. 1. No, Ruka-sensei's classes are boring as hell, but please don't be too hard on him. Well, I'll be going. I need to speak to Kakashi-sensei. Naruto waved as he left. Soon they walked to a tall building with the kanji for fire on it. Walking past the people inside, they walked to a secretary. Hey Kakashi-sensei here, Naruto asked the woman, who nodded yes, but He's in a meeting with the case cage the in Mizukaji. Oh good, I'll just let myself in. Then they walked to a room and opened it, showing 9 people, 7 men and 2 women. The first is a fit and relatively tall shinobi with spiky silver hair and has dark colored eyes. He has a small vertical scar running over his left eye and a mask over the lower half of his face. He's wearing the Konoha ninja outfit. His boots reach his calves and a simple chest guard that has clipped-on shoulder pads with high collars and a dark blue strap across his waist with rectangular pouch behind the left of his back. On the back of the flag jacket he has the kanji of Rokudame 6 Fire Shadow written vertically across it. In addition, he wears a red armband with the Uzumaki crest over his left bicep. Beside him is a man that has short brown hair and black almond-shaped eyes. He's wearing the standard attire of Konoha. The neck of his shirt is form-fitting and goes up to his chin. He also still retains 2 hip pouches strapped to his lower back instead of just one. In addition to that, he has a hori-style forehead protector that frames his face. 7 The next is standing behind them and has a lazy expression on his face. He has black hair tied in a spiky ponytail and narrow brown eyes. He's also wearing a pair of stud earrings. He has a simple flak jacket with one pocket on the side along with a black long-sleeved shirt paired with matching pants and sandals and green-lined mesh armor on his wrists and sandals reaching past his calves. The man beside him has short black hair and black eyes which can contrast with his very pale skin. His outfit consisted of a high-collared midriff shirt, black pants and shinobi sandals that come above his ankles. The next is sitting in front of the silver-haired man. He has fair skin and short spiky auburn hair. He also has pale blue-green eyes. He has no distinctive pupils or eyebrows and has 2 very notable traits in his appearance. Firstly, he has tanuki-like black eye rings. Secondly, he has the kanji for love on the left side of his forehead. He's wearing a crimson long-sleeved shirt with several buttons and pants that match the color of his shirt. He also wears a brown belt and now has a smaller sand gourd which is strapped to his left side. The woman standing beside him has teal eyes and sandy blonde hair pulled into 2 ponytails with a bang that falls to her right side of her face. Her clothing consists of a purple long-sleeve blouse with a high collar under a gray top and a dark blue skirt with a split in the middle revealing her leggings. She's wearing fingerless gloves and sandals. On the man's other side is a man wearing a black baggy full-body suit with a black hood. It covered his head completely and a red sash around his waist. 8 Well handsome, long time no see. Very long time, said a woman sitting to the silver-haired man's left. She is a tall slender woman with green eyes and ankle-length auburn hair styled into a herringbone pattern at the back atop. Not tied with a dark blue band and with 4 bangs at the front. 2 bangs are short with one covering her right eye and 2 are long crossing each other on her bust just below her chin. She wears a long-sleeved dark blue dress that falls just below the knees. It seems to be closed at the front with a zipper and is kept open on the front right side from the waist down. The dress only covers up to the upper part of her arms and the underside of her breasts. Underneath she wears a mesh armor that covers slightly more of her upper body than her dress. She's also wearing a skirt in the same color as her dress and underneath those mesh leggings reaching down over her knees around her waist. She wears a belt with a pouch attached to the back on the left along with high-heeled sandals and shin guards reaching up over her knees. Dark blue polish on her fingers and toes and is usually shown with purple lipstick. 9 The man beside her has short tufty blue hair and dark eyes. He also has pointed sharp-like teeth. He wears square black-rimmed glasses connected to ear protectors, a blue pin-striped shirt and camouflage-patterned pants. He has his forehead protector on the front of his holster which he uses to carry his sword. The sword itself is wrapped in bandages leaving only the double hilt visible. He also has shuriken holsters strapped onto each of his legs. 10 Why may it has Naruto replied as he walked to the red-haired man. Hey guard Tamari-chan makeup bo konkero. Naruto greeted with a slip-up toe. Ards Konkero it's war paint. Damn it. Naruto smirked as Hunter walked around smelling the group. He stopped at Mei who smiled and scratched him behind the ear. Oh I see he likes it, she said seeing his leg kick a little at her scratching. Yeah he does whenever a pretty lady pays attention to him. Naruto replied making her smile. So Naruto, how were you able to get back here? Naruto looked up to the others before smiling. Well Shikamaru sai we built a transporter. Naruto replied before the silver-haired man spoke up. Well that's good. Naruto, could you come back later? We just got some sensitive information to ALK about Naruto shrugged before walking to Hunter. That's fine, I was going to take Hunter here to the vet. As soon as the word left his mouth, Hunter ran under the table and hid with only his tail visible. Oh come on you big baby, there's nothing to be scared about. Naruto picked up a leash, reached under the table and hooked it to Hunter's harness. Hunter whined as he was dragged out, clawing the floor and leaving claw marks as they left. Inuzuka veterinary. Okay man up and be a wolf already, Naruto said as he was dragging Hunter with the girls leaving to look around. He walked in and saw it was empty. Why inside? Hello and welcome to Oh Hey Pup. Naruto looked up to see a woman taking off a white coat. She has an animalistic look with long spiky untamed brown hair, vertical slit-like pupils and elongated nails. She also has red fang markings on her cheeks as well as markings over her eyes in a dark shade of purple lipstick. She's wearing the standard outfit of a Konoha shinobi consisting of flak jacket and a black suit underneath with the sleeves rolled up, the red armband around her left arm and bandages around her legs. 11 Oh hey, somehow have you been? Nar asked. His Hunter hid behind him. Good, and who this? Asked, walking over and looked at Hunter. Well, I thought this was my pet wolf, but I was mistaken. Soon blinked before smirking. Well decided on a PETA. Well come on, Hana's back in the examination room, she'll take a look at him. She took Naruto and Hunter down the hall where Hana is. Hana, our resident hero, is here with his wolf for a checkup. Hana looked to them and smiled. She has long brown hair which she has in a ponytail with 2 locks of hair framing her face and large black eyes. She's wearing a light shade of lipstick and has the fang-like tattoos on both of her cheeks as well as a tattoo on her upper right arm that resembles a flower. Hana's wearing a form-fitting variation of the Konoha flak jacket that doesn't have any chest pockets in the front of her jacket, unzipped exposing her cleavage. She also wearing a pair of form-fitting shorts cut just above the knee, bandages just below her tattoo and wrist warmers. She also has the red armband on her left arm. 12 Hello Hana, Naruto said, pulling Hunter to the exam table. Hunter whined a little until Hana walked over and started petting him. Well, if I had known all it took to get you to start acting like a wolf again was the attention of a pretty lady, I would have brought the girls, Naruto said as Hana took off the harness and examined him. After going through multiple tests, Hana looked up to Naruto. That's everything in unless you want to register him as a ninja hound, she asked as he shrugged. Sure, I'd like to keep him with me when I can. After doing the final exam, Naruto and Hunter left and saw the sun was setting before hearing a girl speak up. So you're Naruto, huh? You don't look like much since the tune-in exams 4 years ago. Naruto turned to see a girl who looks a little like Hinata but with brown hair standing beside a man with the same pupilless eyes. Her dark brown hair is tied into a lower ponytail reaching past her waist and 2 stands on the sides of her face, both tied in 2 pink ribbons. She's wearing a tan-colored long-sleeve kimono shirt with red-orange flames designed on it with a matching skirt, along with a white obi around her waist. She also has large white eyes. You're Han's sister, right? She nodded before replying, yes, I'm Hanabi. Naruto grinned before speaking, short aren't you? Veins appeared around Hana's eyes as she started grinding her teeth. I am not. I'm the right height for a girl. My age. Naruto lifted a hand to his ear. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Squirt. Hanabi tried jumping at Naruto but was grabbed by the man who took Hanabi down the road. This isn't over, not by a long shot. Later, Naruto walked down the road looking at the people who passed him. Naruto looked to see Saku Ra with her parents. Her mother is a fair-skinned woman with shoulder-length blonde hair with a single bead that falls down into her face. She also has green eyes and wears a white kiao dress with 3 red circular designs at the bottom of the front of her dress as well as the back underneath the dress. She wears pink quarter-length pants along with brown sandals. Her father is a kindf fod man with blue eyes and dull pink hair that is styled into the shape of a cherry blossom. He has a darker skin tone and sideburns that flow into his angular mustache and a bit of stubble on his chin. He's wearing a dark loose-fitting kimono shirt that has a green in lining and sleeves that extend beyond his kimono shirt. This is held closed by a simple obi which he's wearing along with a burgundy-colored 3/4 length pants and a pair of simple slippers. He's also wearing a simple silver necklace with a pink chair Y blossom design on it with a single petal being deep red in color. Before Naro could speak, a bright light came from the sky. They looked up to see a meteor fall down and land just behind the Hokago monument. Boom! Nar shielded his eyes before hearing a male's voice speak up. Konoha. Naro looked up to see a man floating just above the village. He's young man with pale skin and shaggy white hair. He's wearing a white high-collared ceremonial kimono with a yellow sash tied over his right shoulder and a black sash around his waist. On the back of his kimono is a yellow crest depicting a sun enclosed in a sea. Crescent moon beneath his robes. He wears black fingerless gloves, long black pants and shinobi sandals. 6 Magatama designs are tattooed on his collar bones resembling a necklace. This world will end by the end of the week. Naruto narrowed his eyes before looking behind him as the League walked up to him. With Batman wearing a black full bodysuit with a mask covering his lower face and a hood covering the top half. Picture Bruce's training outfit in Batman Begins. It's casual wear, Batman explained, making Naruto shrug. Okay, you've always been one to hide your identity in a new place, Naruto replied before looking up at the man and pulled his hood up and over his face. Konoha Hokage's office a few hours later. You know, it really doesn't surprise me that you waited a week until everything's gone to hell before telling me about it, Naruto said as he, the League, Shikamaru, Sai, Sakura and Hinata stood in front of Kakashi. I mean, I'm talking to the guy who'd be late to his own funeral by a day. The entire League raised an eyebrow at that before Sakura spoke up. Naruto, you should be more respectful to Hokage-sama. Fire Shadow. Naruto glanced to her and raised an eyebrow. You do know you're talking to the guy who's called the Saname third, an old man, and the god I'm fifth, a grandma, right? Naruto asked with a smirk, making Sakura sigh. Kakashi went on to explain that Hanabi was kidnapped and that they, along with Batman, Cheetah, Ha-Girl and Bad Girl, would go and save her on the moon as the others would help with any meteors that would be falling. 1-0 and Shikamaru, hold out your hand please, Kakashi said as Shikamaru lifted his hand. Suddenly a glowing watch appeared in his palm. And what is that? Naruto asked, pointing at the watch. It's a special top secret watch that all 5 cages possess. It's counting down T. He time that's left for Earth. Naruto deadpanned at that. Really, you had time to get a watch but not enough time to let me know about this so we could have worked harder to get here. Oh look, it even glows. Kara walked over and puts a hand on his shoulder. I'm sure it just slipped his mind. Naruto R. rolled his eyes at that before speaking. Wait until you've heard his excuse. If I had known earlier, then I could have stopped this earlier like the badass ninja that I am. They left as a kunoichi walked in with several TVs on carts and turned them on, showing Garme and 2 men. The first is a tall, dark skinned man with a large muscular build with his blonde hair combed back, a small mustache and beard. His face is very distinguished with pronounced cheekbones and tear troughs under his eyes and a prominent crease across his forehead. He has pointed canines and his top lip also has a darker hue than T. He bottom 1. He's missing his left arm from the forearm down and has a gold bracelet on his right one. He's wearing his cage howie and hat without a shirt underneath, further displaying his hulking physique. He has black Fuma shuriken tattoos on both shoulders. He's also wearing a gold belt around his waist with a boar's face engraved in the center. Behind him in the background is another man with dark skin and a muscular build as well as blonde hair and a goatee. On his right shoulder he has a tattoo of the conifer iron and on his left cheek he has a tattoo of a bull's horn. His top lip also has a slightly darker hue than his bottom one. He's wearing oval-shaped sunglasses and a white-colored forehead protector. He also has his village's standard one strap over one shoulder flak jacket and a long red rope belt tied around his waist. Hand and shin guards, shinobi sandals and a white scarf around his neck. He is carrying 2 swords on his back. The other man on the opposite TV is a very short old man with a triangular beard and a mustache that has angular corners, a big red nose and thick eyebrows. The top of his head is completely bald, although he has long white hair on the lower half of his head, which is styled in a traditional Chonmage haircut, the back of which is tied with a yellow ribbon into a top knot. He's wearing a green and yellow coat with a red collar underneath. He's wearing a light green Florida jacket and mesh armor. Beside him is a woman with short black hair and pupil-less pinky that are accentuated by her eyelashes running upwards at the corners. She is wearing a red uniform with her right sleeve missing and a lapel over her right leg, brown flak jacket, fishnet tights and a skirt over them. She's also wearing regular shinobi sandals and a pair of gloves. Okay, let's go over the plan for any meteors that'll be coming down, Kakashi said, crossing his arms. Later Naruto and the others, everyone but Hawk Girl, was flying in the air on ink birds that Sai made. They split up with Hawk Girl now wearing the dark red leather jacket flying over to the birds that Naruto and Hinata are lying on. Before looking at the snow CED landscape, I see something, Hinata said, wearing a light lavender sleeveless kimono-style blouse with vertical lines tied with a dark purple obi around her waist. She's wearing a pair of short dark navy shorts with thigh-high stockings revealing parts of her upper thighs, and has changed her regular ninja sandals to black high-heeled boots. Naruto and Hot Girl flew down and stopped by a pine tree. Hinata quickly jumped off and picked up a kunai off the ground. She then puts it in her backpack. They flew back up and continued their search before coming to AC Avenue. See anything? Hinata Sakura asked, wearing her mission clothes. She's wearing a sleeveless red kiao dress that reaches her upper thighs with white trimmings and a white circular design on the back. It is tied with a black obi and she's wearing black shorts underneath as well as her usual black gloves and pink elbow and knee protectors. She also changed her previous boots to regular black high-heeled ninja sandals. There are springs hidden in the cave, Hinata replied as veins appeared around her eyes. They walked inside and looked around before coming to a sprain. I can't see anything, my vision is blurry, Pata said as Cheetah noticed Batman looking down at the water. Something wrong? Batman looked to her and shook his head. No, just worried if we'll get this done in time. She blinked at that before glancing to see Naruto standing with Batgirl and Hayat Girl. I am too. I think it would be better if we had more than a few days, but I have faith in Naruto, she said as Sai revealed that the water evaporated quickly as he cued it in his hand. I'm also not wet, he said before they all jumped in and swam down. Later the flashback visions will be skipped. Where are they? Sakura asked, looking at the pool of water they swam out of as everyone but Naruto and Hinata looked around. Should he go after? She stopped as a crab creature walked to them and shot a stream of water at them. Batman and Batgirl pulled out explosive batarangs and threw them at the crab's face as Hayat Girl flew up her mace, becoming electrified. Sai created two large men made from ink who proceeded to grab the pincers as Sakura jumped up in the air and dropped down alongside Hawk Girl, bringing her mace down beside Sakura's fist. They hit the crab's head, broke through its shell and killed it. Cheetah, who was frozen stiff with her fur frizz and tail sticking straight out, took a calming breath. I'm starting to hate it here with Naruto swimming in the water felt a presence above him. With Hinata, he quickly swam up to them and jumped out of the water, landing beside Hinata. Tainer, where's Hanabi? Nar asked as Terry stared at him. I don't Beta answer to you now, leave. Nar dashed to him and threw a punch which Terry dodged by leaning back. He jumped to one of the floating rocks surrounding them, with Naruto following with a series of punches and kicks before they landed. Naruto added chakra to his legs before dashing forward and punched Tane in the face, sending him flying into a rock, leaving a crater. Naruto watched as Tainer stood up and walked to them with a crack in his face, revealing him to be a puppet. You're a puppet? Naruto asked as Terry smiled. Yes, I am. Your real punch will never touch me. Naruto glared before throwing a punch. Haven't the puppet fall to the ground? You all right, Hinata? Naruto asked as Hinata nodded yes. They jumped back in the water and swam back to the others. Later they walked through another opening and gasped, saying an ocean and a floating island. Holy crap, Batgirl exclaimed, looking at the island before Sai Ted birds for everyone save Ha Girl to fly on. Later everyone searched an abandoned city built into a hillside with trees growing out of some of the buildings. Hey, I found something, Cheetah yelled before everyone went to her location and saw a statue of an old man that looks like Hamura. I did hear there was a shrine to him in cities around the world. Naruto heard Kurama speak before looking to the statue. Are you sure it's not old man sage? He heard Kurama snort before replying, Yata-san, father wasn't really one for this type of thing. As the others were studying the statue, a hole opened up at the statue's feet and showed a staircase leading into the ground. They walked down and saw a graveyard before Hinata spoke up. Someone's here. They looked to see an old man with long hair and gray robes walk up to them and looked to Hinata. I'm Bakugan Princess White Eyes, he said as a glowing orb came out of his mouth, blinding everyone and making Hinata fall forward, forcing Naruto and Cheta catch her. The T-Seiga reincarnation I has been revived, the man said before falling down, feeling himself to be a puppet as well as a liquid drained out of him. Later night time, Naruto groaned from his spot against a tree and saw Hinata walk into the woods. He walked through the woods and saw Hinata sitting on a rock. Hey Hinata, you okay? Hinata jumped before looking back and nodded yes. She trailed off as Naruto took a stance as Terry floated down on a golden platform. What's your answer? Hinata. Naruto glared before seeing Hinata walk to Terry and they started floating up. Guys, Hanat is in trouble, Naruto yelled in his earpiece before jumping after them. He eventually saw an ink bird made by Sai. He jumped on and flew after Tainer. Naruto formed a Renin spiraling sphere and stood up. Suddenly Tainer threw a bluish-green orb at Naruto, absorbed his Renin and went through him and out his back with chakra coming off of him. My chakras go. Naruto trailed off as he blacked out when the orb hit the ground and exploded in a large explosion, catching him in its blast. Boom! Naruto, Hawk Girl, Batgirl and Cheat yelled as Naruto fell to the ground, his trench coat tattered. Kurigakure village hidden in the mist. May and Wonder Woman attacked and destroyed several meteors with jutsu and strength as several shinobi helped with others falling to the village. Wonder Woman floated down beside May, who smiled at her. I'm glad to see there are strong women in your world. Thank you, Wonder Woman replied before May smirked. Now that we have time, tell me about Naruto. I heard he saved your world as well. Diana looked to her and smiled more than a few times. Actually, Kumo village hidden in the clouds. It was looking at a cannon before seeing Green Lantern create shields to protect spots that the meteors would fall on. His eyebrow twitched as he heard badly damn it be, will you cut out the freaking rapping and take this seriously, he yelled as the cannon lit up Iwagakure village hidden in the stones. Onoi flew in, created a cube around several meteors and had them disappear as Jean flew around and transformed into several large aliens to break and destroy other meteors. Crack a my back. Jean looked back to see Onoi holding his back as he hunched over Naruto and the others. Naruto woke up with a gasp before sitting up and saw Sakura lying on a mat looking very tired. Naruto stood up and saw his girls run to him. Are you okay, Naruto? Barbara asked in a worried tone. I'm fine. Did we get Hinata? Naruto asked, making them shake their heads. No, but Batman was able to put a tracker on him, girl said as Naruto nodded and started walking out. Batgirl, Batman and Cheetah stay with Sakura and Sai come with them when Sakura can walk. Where are you going? Batman asked as Naruto looked back to chew bubble gum and kick some ass. Naruto said, reaching into his tattered coat pockets. Well crap, I'm all out of bubble gum, Naruto said. Before walking out of the building he looked up to the sky and saw several puppets flying on birds. Naruto narrowed his eyes before forming a gold Renin spiraling sphere. Later, as they flew up to the moon, they saw a large castle before jumping inside. Naruto dashed forward, attacking several puppets that dropped down. Girl let out a war cry and attacked every puppet that was in her path. Naruto stopped in a room and saw deer in black robes with Hinata in a black dress looking into nothingness. You son of a ... Naruto yelled out, feeling that Hanat is basically unconscious. This isn't a real wedding. Naruto ran to them as Tainer pulled Hinata through a hidden entrance with Naruto following after. Let Hinata go, Tainer smirked, lifting his right hand up and made Hinata turn around. Here you go. Then Hinata dashed at Naruto and started throwing quick jabs and kicks at him. Damn, at least she's not using her gentle fist, he thought, blocking her attacks before feeling something inside her chest. His right arm glowed yellow before thrusting it into her chest and pulled out a bluish-green orb. He crushed it and had Hinata fall to her knees as she blinked. Naruto, what happened? He smiled gratefully and helped her up. I'll explain later. Right now we've got business to take care of. Hinata nodded. Both looked towards Tainer and entered their fighting stances. Konoha village hidden in the leaves. Kakashi watched as a large meteor fell towards them. Supergirl and several ninjas jumped up with her, punched the meteor and broke it apart. Supergirl looked to see several small pieces fall before quickly flying and catching them she flew down and followed Kakashi into his office. After getting a message from the other cages she frowned as it was talking about using the cannon that he had destroy the meteors that W. Air still in space to blow up the moon. Oh hell no, you're not going to do that, Nar, and the others are still up there, she exclaimed, glaring at the screen making a scoff look. It's to save. He stopped as the League members came up on the screens and Green Lantern stood in front of him. No, Superman and I see. And break up the moon if it starts to fully plummet, but if you even think of destroying it while they're still up there, I will find you and I will show you what a pissed off Kryptonian is capable of, Kara said, her eyes glowing red. Flash then added, you don't want that, I mean you really don't want that. Naruto jumped out onto the moon's surface in his new Kyui Chakura Moto 9-tailed chakra mode. His chakra mode's markings now has a more simplistic design with thicker lines, two of which wrap around his collar above the 6 Magatama. His center has a single dot with a partial circle around it, penning at the top, and 6 lines stretching out from it, 2 of which spread down his legs and the other 2 wrapping around his waist that connect behind him next to a circle on the center of his back. He looked to see Kurama in his original size and also covered in yellow chakra fighting a statue. For a better picture look at this movie-type chakra mode, Naruto the last suddenly Tanner flew out in a similar mode but covered in bluish-green chakra as Hinata was in a large bird cage. Naruto dashed at Tanner, who in turn flew towards him. They traded blows as they flew around the surface. Naruto create a golden Renin spiraling sphere as Tanner created what looked like a bluish-green one. The attacks clashed, slicing the moon in half. Jinin Tensai Baku Silverheel reincarnation explosion. Several Naruto clones attacked Terry with Odama Renin big ball spiraling sphere, creating a large explosion. Boom. Eri was unharmed before the real Naruto came up through the ground and uppercutted him away. Naruto stared at Terry and dispersed his cloak to where only his right arm glowed. He dashed at him, dodging Tenner's attacks along the way. Naruto punched him in the face, sending him flying away into a boulder, and his cloak dispersed as Han's cage disappeared. She ran over and looked at Terry's eyes. You took Hanabi's eyes and placed them in yours. I'll be taking them back, she said in a calm yet angry tone. Naruto looked away as Terry screamed in pain before laughing. Naruto grunted as his chakra was sucked out. His countless eyes belonging to Han's family covered to Ner, who was powering up an attack. Naruto, here, take this, Hinata said, placing her hand on his shoulder and started giving him chakra as her chakra started to cover her in purple and Naruto in orange. I also have hers. Chakra. Hinata stopped as Tane flew above them and started growing larger. Naruto went into his cloak form and followed after him later. And they didn't show what happened when Diner flew up, making me write success when I don't even know how to write. Kurama grumbled as Naruto rolled his eyes as Kurama wrote the kanji for success on the surface. Oh yeah, it has nothing to do with the fact that you're lazier than Inara, Naruto said as they flew back to the city. Showed to Ner the graves and told him he misinterpreted him's message. He decided to stay on the moon to atone for what he's done and keep it from falling again later. Naha restaurant. Naruto sat in a booth and took a sip from his drink. Hello Naruto, __. Naruto looked up to see Mei standing at his booth. Hello Makin, he greeted as she sat down on the other side and rested her head on her hand. I didn't know the other village leaders were here yet, so what can I do? Are you? Naruto asked as she smiled. I just want to talk to the handsome savior of the world again, she replied, making him cough as he took another sip of his drink, making her giggle. Oh come on now Mei-chan, your boyfriend would be jealous if he heard you flirt with another guy, Naruto said before she sighed. Sadly I don't have a boyfriend. Naruto blinked at that for a few moments before chuckling and soon busted out laughing. Oh that's a good one Mei-chan. When she didn't perk up he stopped laughing. Wait, really, you must be picky then, he said, making her look up at him. What do you mean? He smiled before peeking up. Oh come on, a very beautiful woman like you doesn't have a boyfriend either. You're very picky, or the men of your village don't like women. She smiled before reaching out and puts her right hand on his left. Maybe I just haven't found the right man yet, he chuckled nervously before stiffening. As he felt something rub his leg, glancing down he saw Mei freed her right foot from her high heel and was rubbing his leg. Naruto, a purple blur crashed into Naruto, revealing Anko with a sake bottle in hand and a small blush on her cheeks. She wrapped her arm around his shoulder and pulled him in close. Intentionally pushing his face against her chest. I gotta ask you something, she said with a hiccup as she pointed to Barb at the bar area, ignoring the glare from Mei. That cat chick of yours? Yes, Naruto said before pulling back and took a drink as Anko looked to him. Have you two ever done it in our cat form? Naruto spat his drink out before sputtering. I don't think that's any of your business, he yelled out, getting Anko to chuckle before passing out in her drunken stupor. A week later, Konoha Hot Springs men side. Naruto groaned as he rested against the bank. A week of partying. I wonder if he partied that long after I was transported, he asked, not noticing shadows at the sliding door. Oh, Naruto jumped as he heard Kara speak up. Looking to his left he saw Kurara, Barbara, Barb, Diana and Shara walking in, wearing nothing but towels. What are you all doing on the men's side, he asked. His car is smirked. We rented out the hot springs today. Kakashi paid for it before walking off, giggling, she said before they took off their towels and walked into the water. Suddenly two more shadows walked in, making Naruto's eyes widen. Oh, that's right, I forgot, Kara said as the mist cleared, revealing Anko and Mei both with their hair down, also in towels. Anko will be the ambassador between our worlds, and Mei formed an alliance with Konoha, one where it'll be solidified with a marriage between you two. Anko and Mei removed their towels and slowly walked in. They all swam over to Naruto, making him gulp. He looked to Kara, who looked at him with half-lighted eyes and licked her lips. To the victor goes the spoils. Kara finished straddling him. Konoha. A few days later, early morning, Naruto, wearing only black pajama pants, walked out in the hall of the home he bought in the housing district. He walked past Ar. And heard a moan through the cracked door. Walking to it, he smiled as he saw Anko on a bed sheet covering her modesty as one leg was out above the sheet. You all right, Anyo-chan? She looked to him and smiled weakly. I'll let you know once I get the feeling back below my waist. Damn, if I'd known you stamina that could last for days, I would have gotten you sooner. Naruto chuckled at that. Yeah, like maybe back during the Chunin exams. She gained a thoughtful look before smiling. Oh yeah, I grabbed you from behind after cutting your cheek and licked the blood off my kunai. The only time I was both scarred and turned on. Naruto said. His Anko blinked before he continued, scared as you cut me and turned on as you pressed your breasts on my back. I was barely a teenager back then. He walked out as she rubbed her legs to get the feeling back in them. Damn it, I hate going through that pins and needles crap. He walked down the hall and almost into Mei, who walked out of her room in nothing but a blue-black trimmed robe showing her cleavage and came down to her mid-thigh. Morning, Mei-chan. Naruto greeted as he wrapped his right arm around her waist and pulled her in for a hug. Morning, Nukan, she greeted with a kiss before turning around and walked with a sway in her hips. I can't stay long, I need to get back to my village, she said, going to the steps only to stop as Naruto flashed in front of her, gave her a horn, flying thunder god Kai, and a remote so you can get a hold of me. Hey Naruto, better hurry and eat. We're going back home after breakfast, Barb said as they walked down and saw her in her black shorts and tank top cooking in her cheetah form. Naruto looked to Mei, who sat down. I saw you talking to Hinata yesterday. Naruto nodded before speaking. Yeah, she had feelings for me before I went to the OT. Her Earth, we were talking about that. Mei smiled at that before speaking. Oh, so she trailed off as he smiled. Turns out she got over her feelings for me because it looked like I wasn't coming back. I was gone for 3 years after all. He sighed at that, causing Mei to speak up. You sound disappointed, he nodded before speaking as he gestured to himself. Yeah, how does anyone get over this? She deadpanned as the other girls walked down, with some only wearing a shirt and panties while the rest wore bras and pajama bottoms. I think you'll be fine. Naruto looked to Barbara, who's wearing a white shirt and blah CK panties. What was that envelope you gave Tati? Naruto sighed before speaking. Jonathan's hospital file. She hasn't found anything concrete, but she's still looking into it for as he finished having her nod as Anko came down in a brath and purple pajama pants. Naruto's house, Smallville. Next morning, the Lee GHT of sunrise shone through the window of Naruto's room. Naruto stirred as the light hit him, opening his eyes to see a nude Kara stretching beside the bed, making him smile. Getting up, he felt a weight on his side. He looked to his left and saw that an equally nude Barbara was cuddled up to him. Naruto gently removed himself from her, making sure not to wake her up, walked over and hugged Kara from behind. Morning beautiful, stretching like this first thing in the morning. Are you trying to get an encore from last night's performance? He said while kissing her neck, making Karamon like I need to try wit. A horn dog like you, and seriously how many times is enough for you? She asked, smiling him. I could ask the same of you, Miss Super Insatiable, he said, emphasizing Miss Super Insatiable by massaging her chest. As Naruto was enjoying hearing Kara's moans, he jumped when he felt a pair of hands wrap around his waist. Good morning, Naruto. Kara having a bit of fun without me? The pair turned to see a smirking Barbara. Oh, good morning, Barbara. Sorry, we didn't mean to wake you, he said, scratching the back of his head. Oh, no need to be sorry, stud. In fact, Barbara trailed on while moving around to face Naruto along side. Kurara, I looking to get that encore you mentioned. What about you, Kara? You up for it? She asked. Kurara grew a smirk and then pushed Naruto back onto the bed. You sure you two want to do this now? He asked. It's just we have an hour or two before everyone starts waking up, unless you don't think why. Oh, you can pull off that encore performance? Kara asked, raising an eyebrow while looking over Naruto alongside Barbara, who had the same questioning look. Nar looked to them and grinned in disappointment. My two lovely ladies, I think not, he exclaimed, shooting up from the bed and grabbing both women by their butt cheeks. Kara and Barbara blurted as Naruto continued to lift them over his shoulders and threw them onto the bed. Washington, D.C. night. Anything? Naruto heard Batman's voice as he stood on top of the Capitol building before shaking his head. Nope, he heard the others reply the same before seeing Hawk IRL fly close to where he was. Naruto jumped up quickly and gave her a quick kiss. Hey beautiful, why are you here? This isn't your area for the night. I heard there was trouble here. Hayat girl replied, landing by him. Trouble? There's no TRMPH. Naruto was cut off as she kissed him before quickly pulling B. Yeah, there is. I'm looking at him. He smiled at her before she spoke again. Hey, let's get takeout from that Chinese restaurant back in Smallville. Okay, but no skipping out on the check, he replied as she turned to fly away. Smack, she turned around and flew backwards as she grinned at him. Save it for later. She trailed off, seeing a large alien ship fly to the Washington Monument. Look at Gordonian ship. Justice League Deco for a better picture. No, Hawk girl said, flying to it as the others tried attacking it. Naruto scanned it with his glasses but couldn't get anything. What the hell, he asked, not seeing anything inside before hearing Kurama. Maybe it's cloaked. Naruto jumped across the rooftops before another ship shot it down. Naruto looked up and saw a ship that's 10 times the size of the last one, surrounded by a fleet of smaller ones. Well, he cursed as Supergirl landed beside him. Wait, Hawk girl yelled as a small ship landed and a male Thanagarian walked out. He's wearing gold-green trimmed armor with the top being an X and shirtless. Moore walked behind him as Hawk girl smiled before she flew up to the male. Hello, Commander. Naruto walked up in front of the others before speaking. What's going on here? Oh, sorry, this is Hero. Tall Hawk girl was interrupted by the now identified Hero. No time for that now, I need to speak with your leaders later. You and Naruto stood with the others and noticed aboard Anko in a black business dress shirt and domino mask staring as Hero, Hawk girl and a few Thanag Arians stood on the stage. Hero looked at the leaders before speaking. 5 years ago we sent an agent to Earth to study your people and test your defense. That agent Lieutenant Shara Hole, whereas you've come to know her. Hayat girl Anko glanced up to Naruto before looking back as Hero continued, and she found your defenses are lacking from our own enemies, the Gordonians. He brought up a hologram of the Thanagarian being at war with the Gordonians, a reptilian-looking alien species for generations. As the League talked to themselves cage, Naruto looked to see Supergirl looking at him worriedly. I'm Finn. Supergirl, I understand that she was undercover. I've done a few of those too. Later, Ha girl flew up to Naruto as the others left them alone. Look, Shira, I'm not mad that you lied to me about your mission, Naruto said as she sighed. There were so many times I've wanted to tell you. She trailed off as he Ro flew to her along with another Thanagarian with a black goatee. Hero Ha girl greeted as Hero smiled before he placed his hands on her shoulders. Darling, he kissed her, making Naruto clench his hands. Apologies Hero Talik. Hero greeted Naruto as he lifted his hand for a shake. Naruto Uzumaki Nar shook his hand before looking to hot girl. The ninja Shira's told me a lot about you. Naruto raised an eyebrow at that. Really, you two know? He stopped as she walked over. Ro and I are promised to each other like engaged here. Naruto looked at her for a moment before turning around. Congratulations, I'm sure you to want to catch up. Naruto walked down the hall and saw Supergirl and Anko in her new costume waiting for him. She has a biker-themed costume with black boots, blue jeans, fingerless gloves and her mesh shirt under a purple leather jacket. Supergirl blinked before looking back. Shara's not. Supergirl was interrupted by Naruto. She's catching up with her fiancé Supergirl and Anko looked unwide-eyed at that. What, she's engaged? Why didn't she tell us? Supergirl asked as Naruto stayed silent, not noticing Supergirl glaring down the hall as he left them. Later Naruto is watching Superman and Wonder Woman tall king to several world leaders and generals about accepting the Thanagarian help but was split on trusting them. Naruto sighed before speaking. Why not accept their help but keep ready for an attack if they're not telling the truth? Sure, Hawk girl may be alright but she hasn't seen them for 5 years. He walked up to them and continued offer peace with one hand but arm the other. Naruto finished before walking out and saw and waiting for him. She opened her mouth but jumped as Batman spoke up. World's most mysterious creatures. Batman walked up to them as Anko pointed at him. How the hell did you sneak up on me? She asked before Naruto spoke up. You get used to it. Nar crossed his arms before Jean and Flash came over. Anko was about to speak to Nar but he raised a hand. Look, I'm just mad that she's engaged and didn't tell me. I'll get over it. Gobi Desert. A few weeks later Naruto watched as the League minus Supergirl, Wonder Woman and Batman worked on a large circular generator for a better picture look at Starcross. He watched this Green Lantern take a camp of people and move them out of the way. Naruto looked back to Shira in black armor and a helmet that looks vaguely similar like the one her low Rhodes counterpart wore. Shira. Naruto greeted looking back at the construction. Look, she stopped as Naruto interrupted her. There's nothing to talk about. Shira. She looked down before continuing. I just wanted to explain about her own. Naruto looked back at her before speaking up. About what? That you strung along? No, that's no. She stopped as Naruto disappeared in a cloud of smoke, having her sigh before flying to the generator watchtower. Batman, Supergirl and Wonder Woman. What are you trying to prove here? Wonder Woman asked as Batman operated on a dead Gordonian. Think about it, a single ship attacks a major city, then the Thanagar Armada coincidentally shows up for it. I don't believe in coincidences. Batman finished taking a piece of the Gordonian liver to a microscope. What do you know about Gordonian biology? Supergirl asked, walking over as Batman looked at the microscope. Nothing, but I know a frozen liver when I see one. The girl's eyes widened at that before looking to the dead Gordonian. I think we've been set up. That man walked to the door and looked back to them. I'm going to find answers later. Wonder Woman and Supergirl waited for Batman over the intercom before suddenly they heard shouting over it. Diana Kara, I was right. The Thanagarians planted that ship. They all. Batman screamed over the intercom before Wonder Woman cursed. Damn it. She reached for her earpiece before contacting Superman. The Thanagarians are lying. They captured Batman on the. She stopped as the watchtower shook and saw several Thanagarian ships outside attacking Great Hera. They're attacking the watchtower. She trailed off as she saw the ships fly in through the hangar. They're in the hangar. They must have gotten our codes. She and Supergirl flew to the hangar and started fighting the Thanagarians. Wonder Woman grabbed one and knocked him out as she grabbed his axe weapon and fought off several more as Supergirl plowed through the ones near her. Suddenly they were hit with an electric beam. Supergirl's being green as a Hawkwoman walked up to them before putting a hand to her helmet. We've taken the tower. The League. Gobi Desert. Guys, we need to get back to the tower. Wonder Woman and Supergirl are in trouble. Superman yelled as the League ran to the javelin boom only to fly back as it exploded. I'm afraid we can't allow that, a Hawkwoman in white gold trimmed armor said as she aimed to energy bazooka at T. She shot at them several times before being attacked by Shira. What are you doing? She asked as an army of Thanagarians flew up holding guns, maces and axes. We can't let your friends jeopardize the mission, Hiro said as he flew in front of the army. Naruto pulled out his bow and shot several non-lethal arrows up at the Thanagarians before turning on his earpiece. Snake after a second. Enko replied, yeah, what's the order? Get Barb and go to the back G to meet with Barbara. The Thanagarians are attacking that man, should have some countermeasures for this. He heard shuffling before she spoke again. How do you know he has anything? Naruto shot another arrow and it exploded in a bright light in front of a Haman as Naruto replied, because he's Batman. He looked up and saw several missiles flying up to the mother ship before they were hit by a beam of electricity and fell down as the same happened with the military tanks and men. Naruto shot more arrows hitting several Thanagarians before jumping to follow the league after Jean, Flash and Superman were injured before hitting a force field. He got up and started to punch the field before hearing Shira behind him. He quickly turned around, picked an arrow out, put it in his bow and pulled it as he stared at her. Don't fight us, we're trying to help you, Naruto snorted as he turned on his laser sight. The person who started the fourth war said he wanted to help us, so why should I trust you? I don't even know whose side you're on, Naruto finished as she looked on sadly. You know whose? He lowered his bow and was hit in the head by Cher's mace. The last thing Naruto saw before blacking out was Hiro walking over and smiling as he wrapped an arm around Shira. Smallville, Naruto's house. A few minutes earlier, Enko in her costume watched as Cheetah took Jonathan and Martha down towards the basement to a panic room before walking to the building garage. Pressing a button on the wall, a door opened up on the floor and a dark purple tomahawk came up with snakes on the gas tank. Enko got on his cheetah, ran in and jumped on the passenger seat. They'll be fine. Nay, Naruto gave that room a bathroom, a bed, TV and enough food and water for a few months. Enko nodded before seeing a seal on the right handlebar and added chakra to it as they drove out of the garage. They shimmered out of sight as a genjutsu illusion technique hid them from being seen or heard. As EY drove down the road, they saw Thanagarians flying above Metropolis before hearing Hiro over their earpieces. This is Commander Herod Talik. In the name of Thanagarian authority, we have claimed your planet and are enforcing martial law. This world faces a crisis which only we can protect it from, but be fully effective. We must be free to act accordingly without distractions. Cooperate in our stay will be brief and without incident, but stand against us and our wrath will be without mercy. Enko shifted into a higher gear as she sped through the traffic and passed a sign that read Gotham 30 miles T. Hanagarian prison ship. An hour later, Kerr walked with Shara past the League, who were being held in cells specialized for their weaknesses. Superman and Supergirl had red solar energy in theirs. Wonder Woman was tied to a metal post with her lasso. Jean was in his real form with energy shackles. Flash as a gravity generate on him. Batman and Green Lantern were restrained with cuffs that covered their whole hands. Naruto groaned as he tried to use his chakra but felt it was being drained. It's like that seal that Orochimaru put on you during the Chunin exams. You can use your chakra but it's messed up. He heard Kurama speak up before noticing Shira and Kager stop at his cell. It would have been difficult to attack their tower if you didn't give us their access codes and your analysis of their weakness. We still can't find Snake, Badgirl or Cheetah though, Kerr said, holding Naruto's folded bow. Don't underestimate them. Kerr nodded before picking up a pistol. You're right, maybe you should make sure they're no longer a threat, he said, handing Cher the pistol. She took it and looked at it for a moment before handing it back. No, if we do that the people will revolt. Make sure they're well taken care of, she said, walking away as Kerr followed. After a moment, neither noticed red chakras surrounding Naruto as his eyes changed color. A few minutes later, Naruto felt the ship move before a guard came in with a plate of food. Oh thanks, Nar said as the Hawkman turned around only to stop as Nar grabbed him. ND held a modern korat to his throat. Speak and you won't live to see the sunset. Naruto applied the sleeper hold on him before hearing Wonder Woman run out of her cell and blocked lasers shot at her from other guards. Diana, the force field, Naruto yelled as he used his knife to cut the keypads on Flash. and Green Lantern cell before running towards Superman's and Supergirl cells and got them out. More guards came in before Naruto ran to them and punched one who dropped his axe. Naruto grabbed it and threw it to Supergirl, who was still weakened from the red solar energy, and continued to fight the guards that flew towards them. Suddenly a large hole from a laser blast was created, sucking everything out through it. Supergirl pulled Naruto up as Superman grabbed Batman, and Flash and Wonder Woman grabbed Green Lantern and Johan before flying out. Nighttime Metropolis. The League ran in an alleyway or coming to a dead end as Thanagarians patrolled the streets. They saw a door to a clothing store and Wonder Woman ripped the knob off before pushing the door open. Naruto saw Superman use his weakened heat vision to get Green Lantern out of his cuffs before walking over and took them. Don't want to leave anything behind. Naruto pulled out a scroll and sealed the cuffs away before following inside and pulled a dumpster in front of the door before losing it just as two men flew by. After talking about a plan, they decided on hiding in their secret identities. Well, wait, I trust you in all Florida. Shish trailed looking as Naruto removed his coat and Jean transformed into a man with brown hair and a brown coat. Batman walked up to him and pointed at him. Wally West, CLK and Carrick Kent. Bruce Wayne, he said, pulling off his mask, having Flash do the same, showing short red hair. Later they all went in the civilian identities, with Naruto wearing a hat, Diana in a blue shirt and purple bell-bottom pants, Walls wearing a button shirt and brown pants, Johns wearing a cap with a brown jacket and pants, picked up a large wrench and hid it in the arm of his jacket. Bruce is wearing a leather jacket, black shirt and pants. Naruto picked up the tags and hangers before throwing the tags in the trash and put the hangers behind a desk. We should split up and meet somewhere since they're looking for a group, Naruto said as Bruce nodded. We're 30 meters from Gotham, we can meet up at my house. They split up into 4 groups consisting of Diana with Kara, Naruto with Bruce, Wally with JN and Clark and JN as each of them walked off. Shira and RO Thanagarian mothership. Shira was working on a console as talked to a hawk woman over the monitor about forcing humans to work for them. Slaves. RO nodded before sighing. We're on an unforgiving schedule. We need to finish the hyperspace bypass in time. He stopped as Shira walked to him. I thought we were building a shield. That was the cover story. She narrowed her eyes before speaking. When were you going to tell me, or did you think I was in trustworthy? Hero sighed before taking to another room and explained Earth is the last spot for a bypass that would allow them to bypass the Gordonians' defense and attack their home world, and Earth would be destroyed. Shira said as Hero nodded. Yes, unfortunately for Thanagar to survive, Earth must perish. Shira walked off and looked down at Earth from a viewing platform. Something wrong? She looked back to see Hero walk up to her before looking back. Nothing, she replied as he stopped beside her. I've never seen anyone stare at nothing so intensely before. Hero said before putting his hand on her shoulder. I know this must be difficult for you. She glanced to him before speaking. Do you? Hero nodded before continuing. What is obligation may feel like betrayal, but our only true obligation is to Thanagar. There must be another way, Shira said, turning to him. Can't you route the bypass to an uninhabited planet or moon? He shook his head before worrying. Any alteration would set us back more than 5 years, and every moment we delay is more bloodshed by our people. That doesn't give us the right. There are billions of lives down there, she yelled before he narrowed his eyes. Have you forgotten our suffering, the horror the Gordonians are capable of? I was in their prison for years, Hero asked, taking off his helmet, showing a scar going from his right forehead down to his chin. Because I have forgotten nothing, but this war is no excu. She stopped as Hero grabbed her. I am your commander, you will not question me. She just stared at him for a moment. I don't even know you anymore. Suddenly Kerr walked in and Hero put his helmet back on. What is it? We lost the Justice League. We think they're hiding among the people. He walked over and looked to Shiara. Unless you know where to find them. Shara grabbed him by his neck and slammed him against the wall. I'll watch your tongue or you'll lose it. She let him go and walked away. Gotham. A few hours later, Wayne Man. Since Naruto got rid of anything that would say they're in disguises, the Thanagarians won't actively look at civilians for them. JN and Wally walked to the door and pushed the doorbell a moment. NT later Alfred opened the door. We're looking for Bruce Wayne. Hune's expecting us. Wally said as Alfred nodded. Yes master, Bruce is expecting you. He took them to a grandfather clock and pulled the pendulum, revealing a hidden staircase. They walked down and saw the others along with Anko, Cheetah and Batgirl. Off to the side is Batwoman Teresa aka Talon in Darcy with long brown-haired tinted glasses and wearing low-rider jeans and a purple shirt. You're late, Bruce said as he sat in his chair as Wally looked as Batman souvenirs. Hey, that's a T-Rex and I thought Batman was the detective. Alfred said before leaving them to talk about the plan of attack. We don't even know if they're building a shield, Diana said before hearing a female voice speak. I can help with that. They looked to see Shira walking out of the shadows. You have a lot of nerve coming here, Clark said, taking off his glasses, but it'd save us the trouble of hunting you down, Diana said, walking over with the others minus Naruto and Bruce. I didn't come here to fight, I came here to help, Wally snorted as he crossed his arms. Thanagarians take control of Earth. Martial law. I don't think we can take much more of your help. Look, they're building a bypass that when activated will destroy Earth and everything on it. Here are the plans, Shaw said, handing Bruce a box. Got it, there's the door, he said as everyone walked away from her. Aren't you going to turn your back on me too, she asked, turning around to see Naruto standing behind her. Last time I did I got hit with a mace, she sighed before speaking. It wasn't personal. Naruto raised an eyebrow at that. Keep telling yourself that. She walked up to him and reached behind her, pulling out his quiver and bow before handing him it, and Green Lanterns rang. I did what I thought was right then and that's what I'm doing now, she finished before flying away through the tunnel. Thanagarian mothership. Later, Hero looked at the monitor before turning around as several guards brought Shira in without her helmet. They roughly threw her in front of him as he walked to her. What's the meaning of this? Kerr walked up with a video disc and put it in a player. She's being tried with high treason, espionage and conspiring with the enemy. A hologram of her talking with the League and Naruto came up. I did what I thought was right then and that's what I'm doing now. Hero glared at Kerr before speaking. Where did you get this? Kerr walked to Shira and reached for her chest plate. She glared as he pulled her hawk chest plate off and showed a chip from the camera I planted on her. Hero looked to Shira before speaking. Shira, tell me this isn't true. She looked down sadly before speaking. Hero, he glared at her before speaking. Get her out of my sight. As the guards took Shira away, Kerr looked to Hero. I hated to be the one to. Hero punched Kerr before speaking. Send a strike team after the League and this time no prisoners. Batcave. Naruto in his stealth costume watched his Kragger and his team fly through the staircase. Before dropping several flashbang arrows, the League and Naruto's team attacked the team. Senator Asu hid in shadow. Snake hands snack shot out of Anko's sleeve and bit several Thanagarians as Naruto shot several sleeping gas arrows. Teresa let out a shriek as Flash and Supergirl punched the Thanagarians. Were disoriented from it. After the others took care of the other Thanagarians, they walked out and saw Alfred sweeping up broken glass made from the Thanagarians, breaking in mind the glass. Sir Alfred said as Batman looked to Naruto. I want you, your team, Superman, Supergirl, Green Lantern and Wonder Man to go to the command ship to shut down the force field. Naruto nodded as Jean spoke up. What about the rest of us? We along with Hab and Cheetah will retake the watchtower. Flash sped to him and spoke up. It's filled with Thanagarian soldiers. How do we get in with that? Batman said, pointing to the shish-shaped ship, and walked in with Jean, Flash, Anko and Cheetah walking in also. Jean sat at the controls and shook his head. I have no idea how to fly this. Flash saw a large button and pressed it. What's this? Do a laser shot out the front and hit the mansion. Anko laughed as Batman gritted his teeth. That's not helping. Jean then suggested taking the ship's information from the downed Kragger while everyone else was preparing to set out. Batgirl in Darcy turned to Naruto. Not that I'm complaining, global warfare is not my preferred type of heroism, but what are we supposed to do in the meantime? Darcy as Ked, you two will remain here and provide tech support should or when the fight hits ground level, he answered, to which they both nodded. Finally get to play out in the field again, right partner? Naruto turned to Batwoman and smiled. Yeah, I know we haven't been able to put a lot of team-ups under our belt TS lately, but I'm proud of how you've grown as a hero. Sonia. He raised a hand to her which she took and shook with pride. Well, I had a chance given to me by a wise man once. Figured he saw something that I wasn't able to see at the time, she said with Naruto giving her a grin. Really, I imagine this wise man was devilishly handsome as well, he said, resulting in Batwoman deadpanning. Did I say wise men? I meant wise guy. Thanagarian mother ship Ro opened the spiked door and looked at Shira, who's in a force field, and walked in. She stood up as he stopped by the field. Why, Shira, why would you do this? She stared at him for a moment before speaking. I'm trying to save lives. Ro nodded before speaking. So am I. Tens of billions of Tharian lives, so we trade the humans' lives for our own, she asked as he narrowed his eyes. War makes for hard choices, Lieutenant. It's them or us. She crossed her arms before speaking. Gee, the man I fell in love with would have found another way. He glared at her before speaking. Me or Cage? She looked down before closing her eyes. I didn't want to believe it. Shira, I'm willing to forgive everything. Pierrot touched the field, having it glow red at his hand, making Shira take a step back. Zhu. Tell me what I want to hear. It was a meaningless flirtation. You lonely. Tell me I'm the one you love, not him. If you want me, I'm yours. All you have to do is spare the earth, she replied, making her Ro punch the field. Maybe you'll forget him once the earth is no more, he left, having her sit down and rest her arms on her legs outside Naruto in his cube Chakura Moto nine-tailed chakra mode. Along with a clone that Kurama took over, flew with the others as Wonder Woman was carrying. Batwoman and Supergirl flew alongside Talon towards the ship and attacked everyone that they came across. Green Lantern Crete a hole for Naruto, Wonder Woman, Supergirl and Batwoman to enter the ship as the others attacked the army outside. Died. Naruto dispersed his cloak as he ran down the hall with Supergirl and attacked the guards as Wonder Woman and Batwoman ran down another hall. Supergirl opened a door and saw the SWI to turn off the shield protecting the bypass. Go on, I got this, Naruto said. His Supergirl nodded and left, not noticing Naruto grabbed his bow. At the same time, Wonder Woman knocked a group of guards down as she grabbed a broadsword before stopping at Cher's cell. Wonder Woman glared at her for a moment. I should leave you to burn. She sliced the keypad before walking away, but it's not what Naruto would want. Shay walked out and picked up a mace before walking down the hall. Watchtower. Earlier, Jan had transformed into Cager and landed the ship inside of the watchtower and walked towards two guards. We weren't expecting you, sir. Jan then transforms into an alien with rock skin and attacks his Anko. Cheetah, Batman, Man and Flash ran out to attack the other guards. After beating them, Anko walked over to Batman, who was watching a monitor. So where's your secret weapon? Flash asked as he stopped by them. You standing on it. I'm going to use the tower to hit the bypass. He programmed the tower before helping the others with getting the Thanagarians in the escape pods. As they got to the last one, everyone dropped a guard before Batman stepped out and locked them in. Hey, what the hell are you doing? Anko asked as the pod started unclasping from the tower. Someone has to guide the tower down or we risk missing the bypass. It's been an honor, everyone, Batman said before another door closed in front of the pod before they started to fly back to the earth. Batman ran back to the controls and shut the windows as he strapped himself in and drove the ship. Thanagarian mothership. Naruto looked up as Hero floated down before sighing and dropped his bow and quiver. The Force F field controls are here. That's what you want, right? Naruto got in a stance and stared at Hero. It'll be a pleasure beating you. Hero shook his head before speaking. No, this won't be like the last time you took something that belonged to me. I didn't take anything that belongs to you because she's not an object. Naruto dashed forward and punched Hero in the face before dodging a swipe from his axe that cut his shirt. Pierrot punched Naruto into a control panel and shocked him. Pierrot walked over and picked Naruto up by his neck. I beaten you, little man. Any last words? Kiss my ass. Naruto kicked him, forcing Hero to let him go before going through hand signs and shot wind bullets at him. Futon Kuki Dong Gon wind release air bullet. Hero stepped back before Naruto jumped at him, feint a kick and punched him. Kobor at Pansy Cobra punch. Hero was sent flying into a console before Naruto looked at the force face around the large button. He created a Renin spiraling sphere and brought it forward. Just before he touched it, he saw Hero bring his axe down. Linka Naruto screamed as Hiro cut his right arm off from below the elbow down. Hiro grabbed him and slammed the left side of his head against the force field. Naruto screamed as he was shocked before Harab pulled him away, showing the left side of his head was slightly singed along with his hair. Arrow dropped Naruto and lifted his axe. Hiro no, he turned to see Shira running in. It's over, you're a soldier not a murderer. Hiro glared at her before slapping her away. I was a fool forever loving you. He attacked her as she brought her mace and traded blows as they flew around the room. Naruto woke up. Just as Hiro shocked Shira with his axe, there is no us anymore. Shira, he threw her down at Naruto as he landed in between them. There's only a traitor and a soldier who has a job to do. Naruto stood up and went into his Kyui Chakura Rauto 9-tailed chakra mode as Hiro looked back in shock. Naruto create an astral arm to replace his right one before punching Hiro into the controls again. I only went easy on you because Shira was engaged to you and I didn't want to break her heart, but now all bets are off. Naruto quickly grabbed Hiro, threw him at the force field and destroyed it as Hiro was shocked. Before being thrown back, Naruto dispersed his cloak and looked to see his wound was healed. Before walking to the button, he tried to push it down but couldn't. He saw Cher's gloved hand grab his and used both of hers to push it down with him. Naruto fell down and looked at his severed arm before pulling out a scroll. Damn it, he cursed as he tried to open it only for Shira to pull it open for him and he sealed his arm. Did you mean that? Naruto looked to Shiara as she continued. What you said about not wanting to break my heart. Naruto nodded as they watched the watchtower hit the bypass on a monitor. Yes, even after all the that happened I would never hurt you, Shira, he said before guards came in as Supergirl and Wonder Woman ran in after them. Cage, what happened? Supergirl asked, running over as Naruto held his right shoulder. Pierrot pulled a surprise attack as I was trying to take down the foe. RCE field around the switch, Naruto said as more guards came in. Enough, stand down, it's over. A singed Hiro said, walking to Naruto and Shira. It'll take years before we can finish building somewhere else. Shira glared at him. Better start building then. Next day, Wayne Manor. Shira watched Snapper's report in blue jeans and beige t-shirt before Alfred and Kurama in his fox form walked in. No bold lines for Kurama since he's not with Naruto. They've been in there a long time, she said, crossing her arms under her bust. You know, even though you'll be hated by everyone on earth, I think you're still a he. R.O. Kurama said, sitting on the couch as Alfred read a cup of tea. What do you mean? As you said, I'm hated now, Shira said as Kurama nodded. True, but if you did this to be liked, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. A true hero does it because it's the right thing to do, not for fame. Alfred nodded before handing her tea. And if I may add, I'm neither a superhero nor a soldier, so I'm hardly qualified to judge your actions by those standards, but I do know this, without the great sacrifices you made we wouldn't be able to enjoy this pot of tea. Whatever they decide in that room, you'll always be a hero to me. Shira